Hello, everyone. Thank you for participating in today's webinar. My name is Jeff Payne, and I am a marketing coordinator supporting IEEE-ISTO. Today's event is being hosted by IEEE-ISTO, which stands for the IEEE Industry Standards and Technology Organization. Our distinguished presenter today is IEEE-ISTO's legal counsel, Mr. Tom Weddick of Cohen & Grace, LLC. Tom will be presenting how the IEEE-ISTO legal infrastructure can benefit your industry initiative. But before we begin the webinar, I have a few housekeeping details. This webinar is being recorded. Therefore, we have muted all attendees. We ask that you please stay muted for the duration of the event. If you have questions during the presentation, please type them into the lower right-hand chat box on your WebEx view. There will be a Q&A session after the presentation. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Now let's get started. IEEE-ISTO is a 501c6 not-for-profit federation of leading industry groups and consortia designed to help industry standards to fruition and ensure their success in the marketplace. With a highly trained staff, we offer diverse, comprehensive, and customizable support that addresses all of your program needs, including program management, administrative support, meeting planning, finance and accounting, and much more. Perhaps the most unique and distinguishing factor of IEEE-ISTO is its legal infrastructure. As a program membership benefit, industry groups can leverage this infrastructure and save considerable time, energy, legal costs, and uncertainty as they ramp up their technical activities. IEEE-ISTO legal counsel, Tom Weddick of Cohen & Grace, LLC, is our speaker today, and he will be discussing the IEEE-ISTO legal infrastructure and how it can benefit your industry initiative. Mr. Weddick joined Cohen & Grace, LLC in 2011. Before that, he was with Cohen & Grigsby for 9 years. The main focus of his practice is on intellectual property protection, antitrust law, and patent, trademark, copyright, and trade secret matters. He mainly counsels manufacturing and advanced technology companies on technology protection and solutions for related legal issues, with a significant portion of his practice devoted to patent and trademark litigation and to licensing all forms of intellectual property, including protecting trade secrets and confidential technology. Tom holds a Bachelor of Science degree in physics from Washington and Jefferson College in Washington, Pennsylvania, and earned his law degree at the University of North Carolina School of Law in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where he graduated with honors. Mr. Weddick has been listed in the Best Lawyers of America and Chambers USA, America's leading business lawyers for intellectual property. He is a member of the Allegheny County Bar Association, the Pennsylvania Bar Association, the American Bar Association, and the Pittsburgh Intellectual Property Law Association. We are very pleased today to have Tom presenting and hope you will find the presentation enlightening. At this point, I'd like to turn the reins over to Tom. Tom?
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate the kind introduction. Where I'd like to start is the concept of what the ISTO was. It really came out of a group of members of the IEEE-SA who thought that it would be useful to have a group of companies be able to join together for the purpose of building products around IEEE standards. In other words, to productize IEEE standards. One of the original ideas for the structure was to create a program that could be quickly formed by groups of companies and, most importantly, dissolved after they had created some product standards that complied with all of the issues and standards of the IEEE. A group was formed, and it was decided that they would incorporate it as a trade association, so the ISTO was incorporated in 1999 in the state of Delaware. It was called a Federation of Member Programs. In other words, what we did was we incorporated the organization and created programs, as opposed to trade association, but programs that were then developed and to establish and work together to create standards about product standards around the ISTO or the IEEE standards themselves. An important aspect of the ISTO is its tax exemption. In order to make this all work, we needed to get a tax exemption from the IRS, which provided the ISTO an ability to operate in a much leaner configuration without having to form actual programs or trade associations themselves. We'll go over to the IEEE, the next slide. The next slide shows the two types of tax exempt status. 501c3 is what the IEEE is, and that really relates to individuals and professional standard setting as opposed to corporations. The 501c6 tax exempt status is really for trade associations, and that's what we applied for in 1999. Unfortunately, it took a long time to convince the IRS that we weren't a program or a company, a for-profit company that was a trade association management firm. The key differences between a C3 and a C6 lies in its members and its functions. A C3 is a professional organization, and the C6 is a trade association made up of corporations as opposed to individuals. Our programs were really designed to be created when a standard had enough companies to, an IEEE standard had enough companies to really take a look at building product and building product specifications. And accordingly, we started, and there's I think a fairly complete list of all of these companies, but the trade associations. One of the things we do have is the ability to let the programs generate their own sort of, not bylaws, but member how they want to operate. We have IEEE bylaws which can be used, but we also have program type agendas for companies that want to get together to create new product specifications. One of the things that is I'd say one of our largest important items is that we also have antitrust guidelines. These antitrust guidelines are available to anyone who wants to take a look at them. They deal with a number of things. We hear about antitrust. There's the Sherman Act. We deal with the Sherman Act, the Clayton Act, and the Federal Trade Commission Act. We also talk about and have meetings from time to time for the programs to get together to get a better idea of what the U.S. antitrust guidelines mean to them and their relevance to their potential activities in the ISTO. I guess you'd say we're kind of anal retentive about these guidelines because they do, in fact, have a lot to do with our success. The Department of Justice has antitrust guidelines concerning research joint ventures, which is an important set of documents that they enforce, and then there's the National Cooperative Research and Product Act. So those are important, as well as just the sort of the rules of law that have come down by the courts with respect to antitrust. So the ISTO is very concerned about rules in the potential areas of marketing and promotional activities, certification, we have rules for those, membership criteria, policies and procedures, particularly if they're exclusionary, and information sharing between companies. Again, this is a company relationship. The programs are corporations and companies as opposed to just individuals. We also have, because of our Members in Europe, we also look at the EU, European antitrust laws, Articles 81 of the EC Treaty and 82. They're all very important to aspects of our relationship with our programs in Europe. So those are the articles there. The commercial agreements and standardization agreements and intellectual property are all items which create antitrust concerns for members of the ISTO and their programs. And to the extent that anyone on the broadcast would like copies of our antitrust compliance guidelines, I think they're readily available from the ISTO. So basically, that's one of the important things that these programs do is to monitor, and that's the ISTO's main effort, is to make sure that the programs work harmoniously. We comply with all the antitrust laws, and we don't get ourselves into tax problems. So one of the other things that is important, in addition to the legal aspects, is this permits us to have a much quicker to-market startup costs. We have annual audits and tax filings, which are important, and we can leverage economies of scale. And most importantly, we have a lot of experienced staff to help. So with that, I think if there are any questions that are out there, I think Jeff and I would be very happy to answer them for you.
Thanks, Tom. Yes, we did receive a few questions. Recently, we heard that the Bluetooth Special Interest Group applied for its tax-exempt status and was denied. Do you have any background or information on that?
No, I actually don't. I knew that there were a number that were looking for the tax-exempt status, but I didn't know that anybody had been denied. And it'd be interesting to see what the rejection letter and what it was based on, because they're sort of a singular technology, and I guess I really can't think about a reason why they would be rejected. In any event, it's getting harder and harder, and that's one of the advantages of being in the ISTO, is because we already got ours. It took us 2 years to get it. It was a long, hard fight, and they may have to have that same long, hard fight.
Okay. What would some of the repercussions be should ISTO somehow lose its 501c6 status?
Well, if it lost its 501c6, that would increase the cost to everybody. What it would mean would be the ISTO was now looked at by the IRS, and maybe this is where the Bluetooth is having trouble. It looked at it as a sort of a management firm for industry groups, a for-profit C corporation. Repercussions directly to a program group would be, if you don't get that, you have to pay taxes, and that could be a 30% increase in your overall costs. And that's one of the reasons why the IEEE, when it was looking at how do we productize these standards, we really wanted to put it into a entity that was tax exempt, because it could certainly lower the cost of the association. So that's the real benefit.
Okay, great. We have another question from the chat. It says, we are considering a research consortium to jointly sponsor research and reliability. Would this type of organization fit under the ISTO umbrella?
I think the answer is yes. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. And it wouldn't have to, the consortia could be just a consortia. It doesn't have to incorporate itself. And it could direct funding to projects that needed to be funded. It would certainly save them the issues of trying to get those exemptions. They're more and more difficult to get. I think those are the principal benefits, Jeff.
Okay. We have actually a follow-up regarding the Bluetooth. It looks like they were sent a private letter ruling, and the follow-up question is, has the IEEE ever been audited? I'm assuming he means ISTO.
I don't believe there's ever been a formal audit, but I can tell them during the course of the couple of years that we were with fighting the denial of our C6, we certainly had an audit, and they found how we were working as an organization and what we did. So I don't know that we've had any follow-ups. I'm not aware of any. We may have answered some questionnaires from time to time for the IRS. But again, it's very important that we monitor how our programs are working, because it is important. We like to have non-incorporated groups, but we will work with groups that are incorporated, taking the members as individual companies as a program. Again, we're concerned about the option that the IRS has of making us a C corporation as a management association firm, and that's not a good place to be for any of our groups.
Okay, well, thank you, Tom. I don't see any additional questions coming in. So on behalf of IEEE-ISTO, I'd like to thank Tom for presenting and thank everyone who attended today's webinar. Please note that if we did not get to your question, and since we did, all these questions and answers will be placed on the ISTO website at www.IEEE-ISTO.org. This webinar has also been recorded and will be posted to the ISTO website in the next few days. On our website, you will find the latest information about IEEE-ISTO and its support offerings, as well as overviews of our member programs. If you haven't done so, we encourage you to visit our website. Once again, and on behalf of IEEE-ISTO, I would like to thank you for attending today's webinar. Thanks and have a great day. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.